Everybody, I'd like to call this meeting to order. It is the 21st of June, and this is a meeting of the Finance and Administration Committee and a special meeting of the Board of Directors of the West Basin Municipal Water District. So with that, we'll determine if we have a quorum. If staff could do a roll call, please.
Happy to do that. Director Harold Williams. Here. Chairman Scott Houston.
Here.
Director Gloria Gray.
Here.
Director Desi Alvarez. Director Don Deere. Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
All right, very well. Thank you very much. Now, is there anyone from the public wishing to speak at this time?
Mr. Chairman, we have not received any requests for public comment, though I do know that this meeting is both in person and virtually. So if there's any member of the public that would like to speak during public comment and they're with us virtually, please indicate so by raising your virtual hand. And I see none. And then I would ask if anybody in the room would like to make public comment. And I see none.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So, it's not on our agenda, but we do have just a brief presentation acknowledgement. And we want to acknowledge that Margaret Moja, our the executive manager of finance, the title's changed, but executive manager of finance is going to be retiring after 28 years of service at West Basin. And so I have a proclamation. I'll maybe look at a couple of the highlights from that. And after the meeting is over, we've got some cake and refreshments. And I know that you've got your family here. But we certainly want to thank you for many years of service to this water district. And so with that, I'll just, I'm not going to read this whole thing, of course, it's like a, biography, but, you have served this district for 28 years. You exemplify outstanding character, consistently demonstrate the highest standards of ethics, integrity, honesty, and accountability. And you possess an unparalleled work ethic, instilling the attributes of diligence, focus, organization, and determination in all those who have had the privilege of working with you. You have achieved the esteemed honor of serving as president of both the California Society of Municipal Finance Officers and the California Municipal Treasurer Association. You've also been recognized by the California State Treasurer for your invaluable contributions to this organization. And so with that, there are a number of other accolades that are listed here, Margaret, but I've been on the board for 8.5 years. It's been a pleasure to work with you all this time. You are a local South Bay resident, actually a native, if I recall. So with that, we definitely appreciate your service. You'll be missed here. Probably one of our longest serving employees, I think, even in the history of West Basin, perhaps. And so those are my comments, and I'll definitely open it up to my colleagues. So Director Williams.
Thank you very much. Margaret, I am really sorry to see you retiring, but I know you deserve it, but I know you won't be retired very long because you need this environment, your financial environment, and it needs you because you're not done yet. You've got a lot more to give. And personally, I'd like to thank you for your support of the African-American community because you are the only one that I've seen at an event that was an African-American event that West Basin supported. You were one of the only persons in this organization that was there, and you had your husband there too. And that was a great event. And I was very proud to see you there and introduce you. You are really a great person, and I really I've been here 8.5 years or more, whatever, and I have never, ever been in a position where I was doubted your advice. You're here to advise us, not to supervisors. Sometimes we need it, but your advice to me has always been right on. And even Director Deere, that the finance department has always been there and always given us great advice and never led us astray. So, and I've been here 8 years and there's nobody been here with shackles looking to get us. So thank you very much, and may your retirement be all that you hope it will be. And I know that you have a lot more endeavors ahead of you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Director Williams, and Director Gloria Gray. Any comments?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. Margaret, I'm sorry that I'm not there with you and your family today. I say congratulations with mixed emotions because I am happy for your retirement, but I'm sad that you're leaving West Basin. I echo everything that both of the directors have said. They are right on point with everything they've said about you. You have been such a dedicated and committed employee, but most of all, you've done your job with integrity, and that is so important when you look at finances. And you are an expert. Your experience and your knowledge is just unquestionable. I mean, I've never felt more comfortable with employee, even though we have great employees there, but your role as our finance director has been unquestionable in terms of my perspective. And so I am sorry to see you leave. You have so much integrity, and all of those things have been mentioned, but it's all true about you. And so with mixed emotions, I say congratulations to you. I know your family will be happy to have you there with them more often, but you have been such a valuable asset to the organization, and you will be sorely missed, certainly by me and I'm sure others. So congratulations again, and hope to see you soon. I know you're part of a number of professional organizations, and I agree that you will still be in that environment, the financial environment. So congratulations again. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Director Gray. And let me also just open, and I'm going to first let Margaret speak in a second, but let me open it. I'll give the floor to our acting general manager, Jay Caldwell, if you'd like to just say a few words. Certainly, you've been here a long time yourself, so if you'd like to have a few words.
Thank you very much for that opportunity. You know, the one thing that I always mention to West Basin staff is that we, throughout the industry, have, I think, some of the most reputable names when it comes to water management, finance, engineering. The industry is littered with people from West Basin Municipal Water District. And one thing that always makes me so proud is just how the industry receives them and accepts them, and really knows that people from West Basin have a lot to give. And I think that speaks a lot to Margaret, because it's not just what she does here in this building and for West Basin, but it's in her industry associations, it's with her colleagues at other agencies, and it's really with every person here at West Basin. There's not a person here that doesn't go to Margaret with questions about our admin code, our process, our finances. And so when I think about that, I really think that Margaret, more so than most, has really touched every person here at West Basin. And then beyond that, in her professional associations, I get phone calls from people all the time talking about Margaret. I actually just received a phone call from somebody's father. They commented and said, you know, oh, you know my son, and I've worked with Margaret for a long time. And it's just so impressive. And I think it just carries on that legacy of West Basin in the industry. So no matter what Margaret does, I think people will know she's from West Basin Municipal Water District and carries that reputation with her. So thank you very much for everything that you've given.
Thank you, EJ. And so with that,
Mr. Chair,
Margaret, oh, yes, go ahead, Director Grant.
could I just add one more thing, which I think may be an important thing to say to Margaret? Um, I know finances have, I don't know if it's been traditionally a male role in terms of, being, having a leadership role, but Margaret, I want to just congratulate her and just acknowledge the fact that she has been a female, a woman leader in finances. And I think that's very important, her leadership skills, because she has risen, I believe she's president of a financial professional organization. And Margaret certainly has distinguished herself as a woman leader in finances. So I just want to acknowledge that. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Director Gray. And before I let Margaret speak, I see we have a raised hand, Mr. Craig Cadwallader. So Craig, if you'd like to say something, you can unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Yes, I would. Thank you so much. I just wanted to add my personal thanks for knowing Margaret for the years that I have. And you have such a wonderful talent of explaining very complex financial issues to folks that may not be as financially aware, myself included, although I'm a business major. And I appreciate her friendly, personal relationship, that you've always been friendly and supportive. And I have enjoyed talking to you over the years, and just wanted to say I'm going to miss you. Had I known this was happening, I would be there today to thank you in person. But it's been a pleasure knowing you, and good luck for the future. And I'm going to miss you. So thank you. And thank you again, Director Houston, for allowing me to express myself. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Craig. And with that, Margaret, if you would like to say a few words.
First of all, thank you for this recognition. Did not expect it, actually. And I want to say, first of all, to my family that's here, my husband, Chris, my two daughters, Maya and Tara, we were here to celebrate my youngest daughter's graduation this past weekend at UC San Diego. And I threw in a retirement along with it. So, so my daughter from out of state came down to visit, and they certainly surprised me. I'm saying my last, committee meeting, and here they are walking into the building at the same time. So, but to all of you, it has been a joy to work here. I have grown personally and professionally from this opportunity to work through a number of things, and I'm super proud of my team. Many of them are up on the table with me today to present, and couldn't be more proud of them and the accomplishments that we have. My recent acquisitions, if you will, of IT and records, couldn't be more proud of Isaiah, Albert, and Eric, and my IT team, as well as Dwight and records management. They really care deeply about what it is, and you'll hear about a couple of those projects today at the committee meeting. To my contracts team, to Colette, who just recently joined us, and Joanna. Super proud. They're incredibly smart, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they grow into their role. And then to my finance team, who's really been the bread and butter of my time here. That is my background. To Sandra, to Wendy, to Allison, and especially to Mary Ann. She has been by my side for the duration of the time. We've been together 27 plus years. And so it is hard to walk away, but I know that I'm not, because these are my friends, not just my colleagues. And I look at this as an opportunity for my departure, for their opportunity to grow into a role that hopefully I prepared them for. And if not, I'm just a phone call away. So that said, too, there are so many other people I want to thank here for your conversations, your counsel, and I will want to say thank you to EJ for his leadership. I know we're going through a time here of transition, and he has shouldered that sort of uncertainty with grace, if you will. And then also too, we joked about it, but Barca, where are you? My dear brother over there. We joke that we are like brother and sister, but really, truly, he's been a rock to me as well. I valued my time here. And I thank you for the opportunity to be able to serve into my community of my finance community. You mentioned about CSMFO and CMTA. I still get to be involved with them, and I'm ever so grateful because that is where I get to do educational courses and mentoring and do those things. I remember actually getting to do a conversation with Director Gray on Path to Power with AWE, the Association of Women in Water and Energy and Environment. That was wonderful. Upcoming is Katano Kasang coming up in August. I'm looking forward to being able to do that. And then also serving on the National Board for GFOA and really seeing what we've got to do there in member engagement and educational courses and certifications and all that. So I've been blessed in my career. And as you say, Director Williams, there's more for me to write and I will find out what that path is. But for now, it's just time to enjoy with my family and really just to savor in the moments of all the great accomplishments that my team has done. And I just get to champion them in that regard. So with that, I have to say thank you to all for allowing me to be a part of your presence and to watch you grow.
Thank you. Try to make sure the meeting is as efficient as possible, but at the same time, we'll make sure we are doing our diligent work. And thank you to everyone who's here, both our staff and Chris family. Really appreciate that. So with that, I will move into the agenda. Oh, I guess there was presentation that was number 4. I didn't flip my page. There we go. We're on target. Okay. So number 5, action calendar, approval of minutes.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the first item is 5A, it's the approval of minutes. We do have 2 sets, and for this presentation, we have our board secretary, Desiree Quintero.
Good morning, members of the committee and board. Today, we are bringing 2 sets of minutes for your consideration. We have on packet page 6, minutes for the April
Can you
17th.
speak up a little bit?
Yes, okay, packet page 6, we have minutes for the April 12th special board meeting, budget workshop number 2. And on packet page 17, you will find minutes for the April 17th special board meeting. So with that, I will read the recommendation that the board approve the April 12th, 2023 special board meeting minutes, as well as the April 17th, 2023 special board meeting minutes.
Great, thank you. Any questions? Dr. Williams?
None for me, thank you.
Any questions, Director Gray? I have no questions, so I would recommend that these go forward to the board for approval.
I concur.
Very good, thank you. Okay, so 5B is in boy, community outreach event for fiscal year 2023-24.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this item is related to the El Segundo Rotary Club's Movie in the Park event. And for this presentation, we have Hazel Vasquez, our acting board secretary and administration of board services.
Thank you today. Good morning, Chairman Houston, Dr. Williams, members of the board, and anyone else joining us online. If I could have you turn to packet page 11, where item 5B, fiscal year 23-24 community outreach event begins. For today, we do have one item for your consideration. This is for the El Segundo Rotary Club's Movie in the Park. Director Houston requests consideration for sponsorship of this event that is scheduled to be held on Saturday, August 5th, 2023. Director Houston would like the board to consider a $500 sponsorship that would grant West Basin a district booth or table to distribute district information. And of note, West Basin did previously sponsor this event back in fiscal year 1920 in the same amount of $500. Towards the bottom of packet page 11, you will see that if this sponsorship is approved, the $500 that are proposed will be deducted from the fiscal year 23-24 community outreach budget, leaving a balance of $67,500. Additionally, beginning on packet page 13, you see the information that was provided by the sponsors, or I'm sorry, by the organizers, including on packet page 15, where the flyer and information regarding the various sponsorship levels begin. And so with that, I can read the recommendation. The recommendation is that the board consider approving sponsorship of the El Segundo Rotary Club's Movie in the Park event, scheduled to be held on Saturday, August 5th, 2023, in the amount of $500 as requested by Director Houston. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
I'd like to say that I support this. So I think we should move it on to the
Forward. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Any questions, Director Gray? Hearing none. I also note she didn't check it on here, but it also gets our logo included with advertising. We can have a banner there, et cetera, et cetera. So we've supported them many times over the years. I'm glad that they're back after the pandemic. So thank you to my colleague for support. And with that, I would recommend it moves forward to the full board for approval. Very much. Lisa. Okay, next is 5C is in cat. An award agreement for procurement and implementation of Highland On-Base.
Yes, thank you very much. This item, we do have a presentation for it. We have Isaiah Sora, our Information Technology Supervisor.
And before Isaiah begins, I just wanted to give a little bit of background for this item and then the next item that you'll see. Two projects that we're proud to present to the Board of Directors in attempts to continue to improve our processes, adhere to best practices, and to really move that forward into really taking advantage of those software platforms that are out there to really help us navigate at this here. So by way of background here on this particular item, this one really focuses on, we refer to it as AP automation, accounts payable automation. We are looking to find a way to be able to take our manual process and to really modernize, if you will, the way that we approach our accounts payable. Currently, everything we do is sort of in a manual process. We get those invoices, we circulate them around in a blue folder so that everybody can get their approvals that's there. During the pandemic, we made some strides, if you will, to sort of automate the process, but it really is sort of a clunky process in which we scan the invoices, we then email them around, we store them on the server. And so we've really created a situation in which we now have these records, not just in the hard copy format, but in email format, as well as also on our server. So we're sort of triplicating, if you will, anyways, we're doubling our efforts, if you will, on the storage of these particular assets here. So we described this process with to our IT team to help us find a solution to be able to find a way that we can sort of modernize, like I said, the process that's there, and figure out how can we be able to do this so that we can not only be able to store these records in a more efficient manner, if you will, but also improve the way that we are managing those processes by doing electronic process flow. So without taking any more of Isaiah's thunder, I'll turn it over to our IT supervisor, Isaiah, to share some of the features that's there and how we went about in securing this particular quote. So
Thank you, Margaret. Good morning, Board President, committee members, staff. So I'll begin. This takes place on packet page 16. I'll start off, 18. I'll start off reading the background. At any point you have any questions, feel free to interrupt. We can deviate. What's based on an IT master plan created in 2019 and recently completed an ERP assessment of our financial system. Both reports highly recommend that the district should modernize the various functions within the financial system. A few of those functions include content management, accounts payable processing, insurance and vendor, diversity code tracking, i.e. small and local businesses. District staff work with Infor consultants to research various products and determine that Highland On-Base system would provide the best option for the district to build its foundation for its content management. The implementation Highland On-Base content management solution will provide the district with a product capable of performing workflow processing, document storage, content management, and reporting while implementing intelligent automation tools. The Highland On-Base solution would resolve multiple recommendations from the ERP assessment. These tools allow the district to take advantage of items like automatic capturing of invoice, retention policy enforcement, content management, automatic workflow and approval management, automated ERP posting, integration with email, and integrated district's Lawson ERP financial solution, as well as reporting dashboards for process visibility. To provide additional capabilities, the Highland on-base staff is recommending the use of the Abby Vantage OCR artificial intelligence with Navient's accelerators to be used with the content management software. The district would benefit greatly from the use of autonomous product. Unlike automated products, which require significant setup and human reaction, this solution is an autonomous solution with the capabilities to perform complex processing of unstructured information, taking action without templates or human assistance. The autonomous intelligence processing is flexible and able to react to changing data circumstances without major programming changes. These products together will allow the district to completely modernize its processing capabilities. Implementation of the Highland on-base will start to modernize many of the district processing methods while providing significant control enhancements, enhanced data integrity, and enhanced reporting. Most importantly, significant long-term costs and time savings. This will allow staff to minimize data entry time and focus on more value-added analytical tasks. Furthermore, the solution provides the district content management for vendor-related items while also reducing the duplicate copies that are currently stored physically and electronically. It is for these reasons staff recommends the implementation of these solutions. In accordance with the procurement policy section 5-1.104 G and Golf, cooperative agreements shall be pursued whenever feasible and in the best interest of the district. In simple terms, cooperative purchase involves sharing procurement contracts between government agencies. The subscription and professional service for the implementations are effective use of the cooperative agreement. Staff obtains codes from Navient, which has been approved by the state of California pricing as part of the Sourcewell agreement. The quote includes a one-time special discount for the user licensing. The summary of the costs listed in the table A below and attachment A. So I'll go ahead and continue and read the recommendation. Staff is recommending the board authorizes the acting general manager to enter an agreement with Navient for procurement and implementation of the Highland on-base system with associated tools for amount of $828,084 plus a 7% contingency for a total not to exceed amount of $306,323.75 for fiscal years 2023 to 2024, 2024 to 2025, 2025, 2026, and future ongoing subscription costs for duration and use of the software. And any questions?
Very good. Thank you, Isaiah. Any questions, Director Williams?
Yes, thank you very much. To acting general manager, is this a price, a fair price?
It is, and I had the opportunity to prep for this meeting with obviously our executive manager of finance, Margaret, as well as our manager of finance, Marianne, and really understanding the improvements that we can make in our technology here at West Basin is sorely needed. It's something that we haven't historically invested really in and taken advantage of all the different opportunities to improve our processes, as Margaret pointed out. And so as such, I highly recommend the staff recommendation.
Thank you. I agree that we need to stay abreast at the top with technology, because I found from personally that when you slack off there and let it go too long, when you try to catch up, it's a little bit of a problem. Not only a financial problem, but time, and time is money. So it's best to stay abreast. So thank you very much. I would support this item going forward.
Okay, very good. I think my only question is, because I'm not familiar with most of this, realm, if you will, on this, but do these folks work a lot with public agencies, this particular vendor? I'm assuming.
Navient is Highland's on-base #1 vendor for government customers. So they're the top vendor they recommend when dealing with government customers, because they understand our processes, our unique processes, and kind of work with those.
And otherwise, understanding the duplication, all the things you were talking about, and a lot of papers are being shuffled and then scanned, emailed and on and on. And it's just, like it is, it's about, it's a lot of bureaucracy. And so I guess this will really streamline the process. Once an invoice comes in, somehow it gets scanned, it's in the system, and there's different ways that utilizing the system, the right people can get what they need to do, right?
Yes, sir. So essentially it uses artificial intelligence to scan the invoice and match it up to data that's already in our financial system. So then by the time it comes to our finance and approvers, we already have all the facts and details there. We can make approvals instantaneously and then route it to the next person, which in the long run reduces costs of time and also prevents late fees.
Okay, so, no, I fully support the staff recommendation, and we should send this to the board with a yes, a recommendation. Director Gray, do you have any questions?
No, but I concur. I think it's a very needed investment, certainly for efficiency and so forth. But maybe one question, the contingency is 7%. Is that the number what we've always used? For some reason, that number seems a bit different than 7%. Is that common that we've been using that on contracts?
Previously, IT would do 10%. We brought it down based off previous comments, trying to lower that gap with the contingency. So no, it would be higher, but we brought it down.
I thought it was 10%, so great, 7%. All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, staff.
Very good. All right, anything else, Director Williams? You're good?
I'm good.
All right, thank you, Isaiah. Thank you. And so with that, got the recommendation from us. All right, so we'll go to 5D is in dog. Award agreement for procurement and implementation of N4 utility billing module. Jeff.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. This item does begin on packet page 48. And for this presentation, we have Albert Plumpton, our Senior Information Technology Analyst.
Before he begins, I'll make some opening remarks on that as well. And again, I really want to say thank you to Isaiah. It's really helping us to identify, and Albert, to identify ways that we can really improve on our processes. As we transition here in finance, we want to make sure that we are being taking advantage of those platforms that are out there. So in this particular case, our utility billing, this is, if you will, the bread and butter. This is where we do the billings for all of our customers, track all of the recycled water customer sales and the likes there. How this began is in early 1990s, if you will. We had an individual here who decided to build an Access database, and it was homegrown, if you will. That person has long since retired, and we've been still utilizing that system to track all of our sales data, that's information that's there. While we have made some improvements along the way, it's not a platform that, we can certainly sort of continue to rely upon. And so we were looking, again, for solutions to find a way that we could really maximize, if you will, the way that we approach our water billing, making sure that we have the information available to our customers, for them to share information, and you'll hear about those features, but also to the staff here that uses that information to provide other kind of informational reports to you, like our water bill, our water sales report that we have here, or things that you might see from our water use report, or other ways that other departments use that information. So we wanted to modernize, again, the use of an Access database with a more robust system that allows us to really harness, if you will, the use of technology. So with that, I'll turn it over to Albert to share those additional comments, and I'm also available for questions should there be any.
Morning, directors. Again, this item's similar to the previous item. It's being brought before you based on an IT master plan in 2019 that recommended an ERP assessment. As part of that assessment, it looked at our billing system. Our current billing system, as Margaret mentioned, is a custom Access database. It lacks some of the basic modern functionality of more modern systems. It requires significant manual entry, which is also prone to user error. It has some reporting deficiencies, and again, it requires extensive staff processing time. As she mentioned, it's been in place since the late 90s. I was here in early 2002 when it was first implemented. So I can tell you it's been around as long as almost I've been in the business. So significant age on the system as well. The IPS system, based on the recommendation, there was the recommendation in the ERP estimate was to replace the water billing system and find a system that would be capable of linking to our financial system, our Lawson financial system. One of those, the system we have in place now for our asset management system is an M4 product. It's the M4 Public Sector Suite, also known as IPS, and it's known as a computer management or computerized maintenance management system. It's a tool that we use for our assets to manage them in our work order system. But what's nice about the IPS system is it does have a water billing module that can be built on top of it or built with it. And some of the benefits from building on top of that is it'll modernize the district's billing services. The district is currently using old technology that does not have the same capabilities and features of many of the today's systems. These features include integration with the district's Lawson financial system, automated billing processing, a customer portal, enhanced data reporting. All of these would allow us to leverage these features and provide a cost savings to the district by enhancing operational efficiency. For example, automated data validation of the water usage, which identifies anomalies in customer usage at the meter at different locations. So again, it'll help not just modernize our systems, but potentially provide cost savings or revenues. A more modern platform also provides enhanced data security and auditing features to ensure high level of security on all our data. Integration between the billing, asset management, and finances systems. This software can directly integrate to the Lawson finance system. Direct integration between the finance and the billing systems provides automated data transfers of all financial data between each system. This ensures that all data and reporting all data and reporting information remain current. Additionally, this provides the ability to use one system to analyze the financial and asset data to ensure that the district continues to maximize its efficiency and identify potential operational and billing issues before they occur. It has enhanced reporting capabilities, which gives the ability to create reports in both SQL and in SQL, which allows the district to identify potential inefficiencies in the district's billings and operations. These enhanced tools will also help to identify issues with assets and their operational costs to ensure maximum efficiency, creating cost and operating systems for the district again. And then the last thing is it's leveraging on a current software package that we already have. For references, we did reach out to multiple references, the city of Houston, the city of Vancouver, and more locally, Golden State Water. They've all worked with the vendor that we're recommending. Additional to that, though, we reached out to MESAC because we were looking at the cost and we wanted to make sure that the cost was a benefit to the district. So we reached out to other water districts and public agencies to make sure that the cost that we were seeing wasn't unusual. And in fact, based on the cost that you'll see in a minute, we're actually saying that it's much lower than a lot of other agencies are experiencing. And I'm going to read the procurement paragraph only so I don't mess it up. In accordance with the procurement policy section 5-1.104G, cooperative agreements shall be pursued whenever feasible and in the best interest of the district. In simple terms, cooperative purchasing involves sharing procurement contracts between government agencies. The subscription and professional services for this implementation are an effective use of cooperative agreement. Staff obtained quotes from TD Synnex, which has been approved pricing as part of the Omnia Partners Agreement. And in that table below, we show you what the MSRP pricing is and what the government pricing is for us. So you can see the significant discount of almost $130,000. So if there's any questions, I'll take those now, or I can read the recommendation.
You can read the recommendation first, please.
And the recommendation is that staff recommends that the board authorize the acting general manager to enter into agreement with TD Synnex for M4 public sector professional services at an initial cost of $503,224.79, plus a 7% contingency for a total not to exceed amount of $538,450.74, and authorize the annual software maintenance renewal during the use of the software.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Questions, Director Williams?
No, I'm good.
Any questions, Director Gray?
No, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, let's see. I think for myself, I mean, number one, it is a significant investment. You know, this is over $500,000. Now you understand most of that's the one-time part. And then there's the yearly annual subscription that'll be built in going forward. But when, just to get this started, what is it, does that cover the first, is it the one time, but then is it the one annual pieces in this particular authorization?
So the $399,448 is the implementation cost. And then the $503,224 includes the first 3 years.
First three.
Also want to comment here that this particular one, unlike the previous one where it's a go forward, if you will, system, this is where we're migrating all the past data so that we continue to be able to provide you those reports from a historic perspective. And so there is that cost to sort of migrate all that data that is, you know, I'll say adding to the cost that is essential, I think, for this particular need.
Remarks. It's majority of the professional services on the data conversion, as they call it, and that's migrating our legacy data from the Access data to be able to compatible with this new end system. And all that data is important as it's required to build out those analytical reports and usage reports, et cetera, things like that.
Any questions?
Thank you. I would, if we're ready, I would recommend that this goes to the board with a recommendation to approve.
Very good, and I concur and thank you very much. And obviously, we want to make sure you all have the most efficient tools. I understand it's very antiquated, our old system. So thank you for bringing it before us.
I'd just like to have one thing.
Go ahead.
That it was good to hear that you reached out to the references to check them out to see what they have to say about your program. So that's you can not do that. Thank you.
So with that, we'll move this forward with a recommendation of approval to the board. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's see, 5E is in Edward, adoption of tax and revenue anticipation note for fiscal year 2023-24.
Yes. This item begins on packet page 75 and is related to our resolution of the board of directors in relation to the execution and delivery of a tax and revenue anticipated note to support commercial paper program. And for this presentation, we have Mary Ann Retrode, our manager of finance.
Thank you, EJ. Good morning, Chairman Houston and Director Williams, and members of the committee and board members as well. I'm here to present on item 5E, the adoption of the tax and revenue anticipation note, or TRAN as we call it, for the fiscal year 23-24. First, I just want to mention this is administrative in nature, but it does start on page 75 of your packet. A little background, if you recall, West Basin began its commercial paper program back in October 2018. And then youth board approved the renewal of that program in 2021. It is set to expire in October of 24. The current authorization is now 30 million. However, we currently do not have a balance on that. We have not drawn any funds, nor do we plan to in 23-24 per the budget. The other thing I want to point out as this program is secured by a promissory note. And the promissory note is from West Basin to the West Basin Financing Corp. And that promissory note can be no longer than 15 months per law. In order to continue the program, West Basin would need to replace the existing note. So to effectuate that new promissory note, the board would need to approve resolution number 06231196. That resolution was prepared by our bond counsel, and it's included on pages 78 through 85. In addition to the resolution, I'd like to point out on page 76 of the packet, our financial advisors, PFM, have prepared a good faith estimate, and which is required by California Government Code. What the estimate does show is make some, of course, estimates and what our potential liability would be if we were to utilize the full 30 million. As I mentioned before, we're not planning to, but that's required. So you will see on page 76, that estimate. It does also include an estimate for interest rate of 3.5%. And it does include the other costs such as our letter of credit and dealer fees in that number. Again, it's just an estimate and we're required to disclose that. The CP program is very important to the district as it provides flexibility when it comes to borrowing, especially when it avoids higher costs if we were to look at long-term debt. So it's kind of like having a credit card. When you need it, you use it. If you don't need it, you don't need to use it. So I'd like to read the recommendation and then I open up for any questions. Recommendation reads, staff recommends that the board approve resolution number 06-23-1196, resolution of the Board of West Basin Municipal Water District authorizing the execution and delivery of a tax and revenue anticipation note to support a commercial paper program. With that, I can answer any questions.
Very good. Question?
Acting General Manager, or would you support this?
I strongly support this, yes.
Good. Any questions, Director Gray?
No, thank you, Chair.
And I have no questions. It's more formality, right? Quite honestly.
Correct.
I recommend this move forward to the board.
And I concur.
So yes, so thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. 5F is in print. Adoption of fiscal year 2023-24 budget.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, as you'll recall, we've been working towards this moment for the past several months. As you mentioned, it is the adoption of the fiscal year 2023-2024 budget. I think the conversations over the past several months have been very positive. Gave us a great opportunity to really explore West Basin's future, vision, and of course, the programs and projects that are necessary to carry out our mission. For this presentation, we have Margaret Moja, our Executive Manager of Finance.
Wonderful, thank you. Well, as shown on page 86, at the start of our agenda item is the staff report, and then following that is the draft budget document for your review. But I will just highlight, if you will, sort of our budget workshop series that we've had. So as you recall, we have met 4 times during this budget season to share with you the overall financial numbers, if you will, both revenues and expenses for the fiscal year 23-24 and the underlying assumptions relating to that. As part of that process, we wanted to make sure that the board understood what are the underlying assumptions and the drivers that are there. So if you look to the bottom of page 86, we highlighted 4 different areas of where we were focused on. One is on water sales, making sure we understand the impact of conservation, our investment in conservation, the water demand variability. We know that we've had an impactful year with rainfall, with decisions by Metropolitan Water District to shut down for a period of time. And this is on our potable side. And then on our recycled side, we've been, having some challenges there with water quality and our ability to be able to deliver to our customers that high quality water that we did so within our mission. Moving over to rates and charges and other revenues, again, being mindful of the fact that we do have a number of our water sales, if you will, set by rates. And so being mindful of the impact that it has to our customers, looking where possible for grant opportunities to reduce the impact to our customers by receiving those grant funding, either for capital or for our conservation programs, but also reviewing our recycled water rates and the fact that we do have over the next few months over to the next few years, what those rates are and how that will play into it. We also, as you're aware, back in April, did have the board approve a cost of service study. And so that will certainly be helpful to us in setting forth future rates and charges. However, that study is just underway and will not be incorporated, if you will, into this fiscal year 23-24 budget, but into future years. Our capital investment, the third column there, and operational expenditures, knowing what our water quality levels are and our level of service to our customers, making sure that we can meet those needs, as well as the future direction of water recycling program. We had a great update at our May 3rd workshop to talk about the future of West Basin and the opportunities ahead of us working with our regional partners to have a sort of one water impact to the region, and that would also, of course, meet the needs of our service area. And then also, we were greatly impacted by inflationary impacts, most notably in the area of our chemicals, which had a range of percentage increases, but anywhere from a few percentage points to over 40%. Again, major impact that's there. Year over year, I think we had over a $5 million increase alone just on that one line item. To our last column, program delivery and staffing levels, we wanted to make sure that we can continue to meet the needs of our community with our mission statement, with our programs and our activities, and looking at what those scope are, making sure that we have the appropriate staffing available to that, making sure that we have the needed resources that are there for that program delivery. And as a result of that, we did recommend 2 additional staff to consider that. One of them is a rebudget and one of them is a completely new position. And then also planning for succession planning. Unlike myself, there are others that are in the near term, 3 to 5 years, looking to retire. And so we want to make sure that we have that knowledge transfer that's there. And certainly resources like the 2 items that you considered just now under the IT projects certainly will help us with that. But certainly we want to make sure we plan for that as well. We turn to page 87. It does highlight at the top of the page some of the discussion items that we did have and some of the changes that we made along the way. I won't necessarily repeat it all other than to say we did consider that and did incorporate some of those changes there from our original estimation of staffing from 7 down to 2, looking at the impact of grant funding availability and onto some of our programs. And we also looked at our own sort of rates and charges, and we looked at a couple different scenarios from a 0% increase on our reliability service charge to the original 10% that we had recommended, to what we further sort of are recommending at this point, which is a 7%, which is not necessarily right in between, but a number in between. We did also have a discussion at the last workshop regarding our tiered structure, our declining block structure, and speaking with district council, knowing that we have that cost of service that is currently underway, that item will address it. So we did leave that declining block structure for the purposes of this budget. It had a minimal impact to us on this particular budget, and so we felt comfortable in moving forward with that legal counsel consideration. I won't necessarily read all of the highlights, if you will, for revenues and expenses, but they are noted on page 87 and 88 of your packet. But it does talk about your rates and charges. And the revenue section, it does identify that the standby revenues are per the settlement agreement. And we do have some one-time revenues that are coming in for particular capital projects that will help us for our coverage calculations in this fiscal year. In the expense side, we talked about the water sales assumptions for both the potable and the recycled. Talks about staffing. I'm now on top of page 88, where we have now 52 full-time employees. It does talk about our merit pool adjustment of 7.5%, and the fact that we are seeing a reduction in our benefit percentage down from 78% to 75%. It talks about our debt service is about 20.9 million. I think it's one of the lowest that I've seen for a while, and it's plans to stay there to look at that. Also, the last bullet point there identifies our capital projects of about $38.8 million. 3.4 million of it is our current project underway at the JMM facility. The next biggest portion is 15.4 million And that had to do largely with our PV lateral project that is finally under its way, and where we have a significant amount of one-time funding grants and low interest loans to support that. And then we have about $19 million for R&R projects that, again, we shared with you, and they're shown in great detail within the budget document itself. With all that said, with those assumptions that I just read to you, we do anticipate a debt coverage ratio of 1.50. We are legally required now with the state loan to be at a 1.20, so we're slightly above that. It is below our target. However, we understand we are in a transition period as we are making those decisions in the future, being mindful of what that is. And certainly that can be evaluated as well when you look at the cost of service. With that said, it has been quite a journey to get to this point here to recommend this budget here. And with that, I'll read staff recommendation and then open it up for questions, which is staff recommends that the board adopt the fiscal year 2023-2024 budget. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Margaret. Questions? William?
Well, I don't have any questions. I just have a couple of comments. And, one of the ways to determine, check out if we are doing the right things with our budget, and how we're spending our money, or our taxpayer money, ratepayer money, is their reaction. And I got to tell you that in Division 1, that I heard nothing but good things about how we're operating. I wasn't really sure if that was accurate, because I wanted to hear what our customers and the people who actually pay the bill to us, because our constituents don't pay a bill to us. They pay the bill to the providers. And when we had our special meeting with them a couple of weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago.
Days 7, I think, 6 or 7.
And
Oh, sorry, June something. That was the original date.
But
Whatever.
nevertheless, we did not have a bunch of pushback. None, as a matter of fact, right? So that told me that we are doing the right things right. So I'm happy, and I would approve. And you're asking for approval of the budget, and I would have to say that my vote would be to approve. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Director Gray, do you have any questions or comments? You're on the line. Okay, I'll go ahead. So I just want to say as well, thank you very much, Margaret. I mean, we obviously worked really diligently over the course of this year. Definitely a lot of yes back and forth to make sure we got to this point, but I'm very pleased with where we're at. And of course, ultimately, I would say we've settled on proposal, and you all have put everything in that we have, and so I'm really big picture happy with where we're at today, as well as we know that next year is going to be a whole nother ballgame, I'm sure, even in your absence. But we definitely are looking in the long term as to how we deal with the efficient operations of the agency, let alone we're not selling as much potable water, which we're really pleased about, but we have to pay attention to the business model of this agency. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been involved, and for all the work you've all done to get us to this point, and to my opinion, have a package that I think the board can approve and live with the cycle. Obviously, we got to get to the full board, but I do want to say thank you for that. The other thing I wanted to mention, and you did mention it, two things. One is I heard good things occurred at customer agency workshop. I wasn't there, but from what I understand, from multiple folks, including our staff and others, that it was a very good meeting. We did not have any major concerns from our retailers. Is that accurate?
Right, and we had a very good turnout too. Thankfully, we had it virtually, so many attend virtually, but we did have Golden State in attendance, so we did have a representative in the room, so that was nice to speak to someone that was in the room with us. But yes, again, I think the questions that were there were just, I think, more administrative in nature, but nothing that was a pushback, if you will, to what we had done. I think they acknowledged the challenges that we have are the challenges that they're seeing as well, and so they understand where we're coming from.
Very good. Like I said, I did hear that no one had any concerns, and you understand where we're at, what we've got to look at. So that was very good to hear. And then the other thing that I want to mention is the chemicals. I mean, obviously chemicals, that's just been harming and hurting all of us right now. The price of chemicals and very few suppliers, so on and so forth. So a big part of that built in this budget. Both us and water and other industries are experiencing this. So it's noted part of this cost, but secondarily, and I bring it up with acting general manager, I think we should continue having a discussion about this, maybe more in the policy side too, because however, we've got to keep talking to our legislators, state and federal, about this long-term concern. Because you all know this, what happens is everything gets a lot of noise for a while and then we move on to something else. But I don't see this going away. And there's fewer and fewer suppliers of certain chemicals in the whole United States, let alone different parts of the United States. So I would ask EJ if we could, in the next month or two, let's have this as an item to talk about in the Water Policy and Ledge Committee, just to keep us aware of where things are at. But also, I think we should be making noise. I think that Aqua and another organizations we're a part of, we should continue making noise to our legislators and regulators, because this is not going away. So I really want us to continue talking about that at West Basin and keep it on the radar screen of everybody who represents us. Because it honestly, it makes me very upset, of course, and it's harming all of the utility sector if we don't figure this out in the long term. Not gonna let it go. So with that, and I hear Director Gray now, but I concur with Director Williams that we should move this forward to the board with a recommendation of support. And with that, I will ask if Director Gray has any questions or comments. You have the floor.
No, Chair, I think enough, you guys have made appropriate comments, so thank you.
All right, very good. So thank you. Thank you, Margaret, for that. Thank you to everyone for all the work to get us to this point. So we'll move on to 5G, which is to adopt fiscal year 2023-24 water rates and charges. Go ahead, EJ.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Obviously, with the adoption of our budget, the water rates and charges are the second piece of that. And so for today's presentation, we have Mary Ann Rexroad, our Manager of Finance.
EJ. Good morning again. I'll keep it kind of brief since Margaret did a wonderful job in explaining the budget and all the elements within the budget. But part of that is what our revenue requirements are. So that translates to our rates and charges. As you heard through the different workshops, we have our metropolitan rates that are passed through, that we pass through to our customers. And of course, we have the West Basin side too. So I'm just going to highlight a few items for you about those rates. Before I do, I just want to point out that I am on page 344 of your packet. And there is a resolution that goes into a lot more detail of what those rates and charges are by specific type and so forth. I won't read that all because there's a lot in there. As I said, I'll just highlight a few items, but the resolution is number 06-23-1195. And also, just so you know, it was reviewed by our district council as well. And that resolution is on page 347 through 353. So again, I just want to highlight a few items regarding our rates that we're recommending for fiscal year 23-24. The first one is West Basin's Tier 1 rate. As you recall, during the workshops, we explained that this is made up of three components. We have the West Basin Reliability Service Charge. That's what our charge is. That will increase July 1st. And then we have the two parts that we pass through from Metropolitan Water District, which is their commodity rate. And the second part is the RTS, or Reliability Service Charge. So those rates go into effect on January 1, 2024. So to take that all into consideration today, we are at 1586. On July 1st, 2023, that rate for the Tier 1 rate would go to 1605. And then it'll adjust one more time on January 1st, 2024 to 1607.
1677.
Thank you, 1677. The overall increase with all those components is $90. And in effect, it's a 5.7% increase. Item that's also considered a pass-through for Metropolitan Water District is the capacity charge. That charge would then be adjusted on January 1, 2024. Currently today, it's $9,135 per cubic foot per second, or CFS. It will then change to $9,605 per CSF, again, January 1, 2024. West Basin has another charge. That's our fixed service charge that we implemented a few years ago. That charge will actually decrease. If you recall, that charge is based on two of our program budgets, one being the water policy and resource development budget, as well as our public information education budget. So that will decrease overall from 6.3 million to just about under 6.2 million. That is allocated to all of our customers. And what we use is a rolling 3-year average of their sales, or our sales to those customers. And that'll go into effect July 1, 2023. Last segment is our recycled water rates. Again, there's multiple different rates. I won't go into them all. Margaret touched upon it earlier. With the tiered rates, we are keeping those in place after discussion with our council, district council. Those rates inside and outside the service area they're a little slightly different, but they're still on that tiered rate, and they're going up in accordance to what our cost to produce water, for what we're anticipating the cost to produce water. Again, when we look at rates, we try to look at not only what is today, but we look at going into the future. We do know we have that cost of service study that is starting off, and we hope that these rates will take us through 23, 24, and then we'll look at what the future years will hold after that cost of service study is done. With that, I'd like to read the recommendation and then open it for any questions. Just keep in mind, when we set these rates, we did talk about what our water sales are. That was based on the 95,000 acre feet of retail water sales, 7,000 of the barrier imported water sales, and 33,032 acre feet of recycled water sales. I'd like to read the recommendation. So that the board approve resolution number 06-23-1195, a resolution of the Board of Directors of West Basin Municipal Water District relating to water rates, and repeal resolution number 06-22-1163. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Very good, thank you. Question, Director Williams.
No, thank you.
Director Gray. I don't really have any questions. I guess I would say I have a comment or two, and you actually, I was going to say it, but you brought it up at the end, Mary Ann, and that is, we based this upon we are selling less than 100,000 acre feet of the retail imported water, which we're acknowledging that. So that's where our trend has been. I hope it stays in that area, even though not as easy on us financially. As a matter of fact, right below that, it talks about 93% of our revenue comes from water sales and charges. So at the end of the day, we have the parameters that bring in the revenue for the agency and pay the infrastructure and bills and the things we do, but the majority of it, of course, is literally just buying and selling the water. All that being said, we've got to be really good stewards. think that the agency has done a great job of that. Board is extremely cognizant of that. Public is really aware, and they're definitely watching us and how we handle our finances and operations. And so it's, it's very incumbent on the board and staff to really be cognizant of these things. So we're putting all of that together, and I think we've also worked our best to minimize the increases to the best of our ability while acknowledging we don't really have much of a choice. Everybody is experiencing the cost of things going on. We still have to maintain this district. All that to be said, again, I'm really pleased with where we're at. I thank staff for listening to the board's concerns, but also to be good stewards of what we approve once this goes to the full board. And with that, I would recommend it goes forward for approval by the board. I think Director Williams already concurred. Concurring. And any other questions, Director Gray? Comments? Okay. So, thank you very much. We are approaching the finish line here. So 6 is our information calendar. If EJ, you will take that item 6A.
Yes, thank you very much. This is the final item that we have on our action and information calendar. Item 6A is our monthly financial report. And for this report, we have Allison Tom, as well as Sandra Ruiz, both accountant twos here at West Basin.
Hi, good morning. I'm presenting agenda item 6A that is on packet page 354. This is our monthly financial reports as required by West Basin's administrative code. Staff is required to submit various financial reports to the board to keep them appraised of the financial condition and future needs of the district. With that, I will turn it over to Allison to start off with the demands list.
I'm President Houston, members of the board and staff here. I'll be going over the demand list. It's item 6AA that starts on your packet page 356. For the month of May 2023, the spent was a little bit over 14 million. So that's 14,048,176 is 22 cents. We're comparing it to April of last month. It was about 18 million last month, but the difference is that there was a big construction project payment last month, about 3.9. And as you remember, there was pointed out cost of the 707,000. For this, we do want to share a few items with you. If you turn to packet page 358, check number 89675. This is the closeout payment for our last legal counsel. And then if I may have you turn to package 360, check number 89739. It's the very last one on the page. This is for our annual OPEB contribution payment for over $336,000. And the last item is on your packet page 361. It's our Metropolitan water bill for the month of March.
Any questions?
No, thank you, but I would like to say one thing. Is that, remember, I'm sitting under this fan here, and you make a great report, and then you tail off at the end, and I don't hear the end of it. So everybody, remember, the end of your report, be up here. Because when you make your recommendations, I'm not hearing it. So, thank you. Help this old guy out.
Thank you. Thank you. I have no question in this part. Thank you.
I will take the next item, 6AB, which begins on packet page 362. This is our cash and investment report for the month ending May 31st, 2023. At the top of the report, you will see the total market value of investments is 73.5 million. To the right of that is a pie graph that shows the diversity of the portfolio. See that the top two ones are the U.S. Treasury and our investment pool. If I could ask you to turn to packet page 363, that is our credit quality distribution. It's a bar graph, and as you can see, the portfolio consists of highly rated investments, starting from A to triple A investments. The next page, packet page 364, is our maturity distribution. You can see that our investments are set from 5 years plus all the way to very liquid. Let's find the next page, packet page 365, consists of the transactions for the month. Acquisitions total 2.4 million, and we had dispositions of 2.1 million. We purchased agencies, securities, and treasury securities. Those were made to extend duration of the portfolio to meet our strategic targets. And then pages 367 to 374 are descriptions of our holding investments, listing purchase dates, market values, and the description. And then the last page of this report, packet page 375, is the glossary terms and exposure. Happy to answer any questions you might have regarding the cash investment report.
Question?
No, thank you.
Then it's my pleasure to present the next item, 6AC, which begins on packet page 379, and this is our monthly water sales. The first graph shows our reported retail, and for the month of May, we had sales of 7,200. As mentioned before, this is a lot lower than last year, and May was what they called May gray. Continued with low temps. The average temp was a 69.8, and we had rainfall of just 0.55. So usage was a lot lower than last year. Next graph is the imported barrier. The 552 acre feet, which was lower than last year. Then the next page, packet page 380, you can see our recycled water cells, 1,675 acre feet, was again lower than budgeted, but higher than last year. And then if we look at the table below, it'll show you the breakdown between month and year-to-date water cells. Any questions you may have?
Any question?
No, thank you.
Then I'll turn it over to Allison to present the last item.
Here to close this out for the month of May expenditures, if you may turn to packet page 381. This is the director's conference and travel expenses for the month of May cumulative. And then if I may have you turn to packet page 382, this is for the executive management and staff travel expenses.
No, thank you.
Right, no questions. Thank you. Okay, so that's it, right? On that one? Very good. All right. Here you go. Let's see. So there's no closed session today. Director's comments or future agenda items. I'll start with Director Williams.
No, thank you.
Okay, Director Gray.
Thank you to the staff for all the great reports today. Thank you very much.
And I'll say the same. Thank you very much, staff. Good reports, all the work we're doing. Really appreciate it. Of course, congratulations to Margaret on her retirement, or forthcoming retirement, if you will. And I know we got refreshments after this meeting. So with that, our next regular meeting is scheduled to be held on July 19th of 2023. With that, we're adjourned.